If you want to do anything to change your life, this podcast is going to be the most important thing that you watch today. Right now, I'm at a point where I'm 18, I'm in college, and I've been completely spread apart with where I'm funneling my energy for a long time. It's been putting energy into Open Project, the climbing brand, putting energy into the podcast, putting energy into school, friends, climbing. And I haven't been really able to focus on one thing and make it great. And you see, back a year ago when I was writing my college essays, one topic that I focused on a lot was my want to be great at something because I've always been good at so many things. Like this trend, and I think it's something that a lot of people feel because society pushes us to try to branch out and try so many things, which I guess isn't necessarily bad. I'll get to that. But I felt this for a long time, right? Back when I was a young kid, I started out playing many sports and I wasn't fantastic at any of them, but I was pretty good. You know, I was a baseball all star. I wasn't the star player, but I was on the team. I scored a lot of goals in soccer, was never the star. You'd never say this kid's special, but I was always pretty good. In school, I wasn't the valedictorian. I was sixth in my class, so I guess that's pretty good. But Harvard waitlisted me. They didn't accept me. Stanford rejected me, right? So it's not like I was the best student ever, but I've always had the want and almost the need to be the best ever at something, but my actions have not always been in accordance with that desire. So that's a good point to kind of get clear on, right? We all have these desires, but it takes a lot of trial and error to figure out if our actions are in accordance with our desires, or so we think. But I do think that one thing I'm going to encourage you to take some time to do right now is figure out, are my actions in accordance with my desires? Get clear. I think a lot of people don't really know what they want consciously, but subconsciously, we do know what we want. We're always making decisions based on a goal. Everything is a goal based decision, even if it doesn't seem like it. So, right now, I'd like you to get a pen, get a piece of paper, write your goals a little bit. You can pause this podcast if you're not in a point to do that. Just think about it. Are your goals your professional goals, your emotional, spiritual goals, your relationship goals? All of these goals, you don't need to go too widespread, too much breadth. I want you to really hone in on one right now because that's what we're going to be focusing on. We're going to be focusing on developing greatness at one skill, right? The thing that a lot of us are pushed to do from a very young age, and I touched on this a minute ago, is develop many skills at once. Now, when we're talking about basic things such as reading and writing and basic mathematics, I do think that this is a necessary thing to do, right? We're not going to completely focus on one thing so that you have a kid. Well, also, you can't really develop skills. These skills are parallel skills and they're complementary. They build on each other, right? But as we get older, that's not always the case. Our skills are not always building upon each other. They're not always interconnected. For example, your writing and your ability to communicate your thoughts and articulate your thoughts on paper might not be very related to your mathematic ability in solving equations or in doing calculus, right? And the thing is, we're encouraged at the end of high school or early college to be working on both of those things at the same time. Now, it's similar with athletics. For a long time, when you're a kid, running in soccer and swinging a bat in baseball, they're both building upon each other because you need to be fast for baseball and you need to be coordinated for soccer. These skills, they're complementary. But at some point, soccer and baseball become very different. Your training for soccer is going to be long runs, not necessarily super heavy weightlifting. Now, I'm no fitness trainer for the best athletes in the world, so don't completely take my advice on this. But I know that they do differ, as I did both at a somewhat high level at high school varsity, right? And my training was very different for the two sports. Now, maybe having cross training, people would argue, is good for you, but when you're training one thing, you're not training the other. Your time is a finite resource, and the people that are great at something know that. They're spending all their time that they can becoming great in pursuit of this one goal. Right. So once you figure out, I hope that in this time you figured out what is the goal that you want to to focus on. And you don't have to overthink this. It's just what feels right in this moment, because once this goal is accomplished, we can move on to another, right? It's not saying you can never accomplish this one thing, but I like to think about what goal can I accomplish that will end up benefiting me down the road. This experience may carry over in some capacity. Now, what a lot of people like to start out in their lives is making money. That seems to be the goal that people start out on. For me, I started out on a more emotionally, spiritual note, where I said, before I want to focus on making money, I want to focus on making myself better. And a lot of people start out with this with fitness. They want to focus on getting biceps or getting a six pack, right? Because this does build discipline that is very transferable into other areas, other aspects of your life. Now, you chose the skill, right? Now, we have to figure out how we're going to get from point A right now to point B, where you want to be. Now, a lot of times this delta, this gap between where you are right now and where you want to be, causes dissatisfaction. We don't need that to happen. The thing is, we know that we're going to succeed, right? And if you're saying, no, I don't, how do I know that? You got to trust, because if you don't believe that you can succeed, it won't happen. It's as simple as that. I'm learning this from so many things, but if I believe that I'm going to fail, if I go up to the plate, I'm liking my sports analogies today. If I go up to the plate in baseball and I think I'm a little afraid of striking out, that thought is a little bit prominent in my head. I'm going to strike out. I'm going to strike out. I don't know if I ever went up to the plate, maybe a few times, but I never went up to the plate thinking about striking out and had a good outcome. Never. But if I go up to the plate like I'm about to hit a bomb, maybe I'll overswing a little bit. Sometimes maybe not a great result will happen, but I'm so much more likely, if I believe that, if I totally believe that, to have a good result that comes from it. Life is the same. Making money is the same. Getting a six-pack is the same. Getting jacked, any of these things. If you have a goal, you have to believe that it is there. You have that. You are going to succeed. And I want you to drill that into your brain. You are going to succeed. Don't let any other thought just distract you. I've actually been doing this a lot recently. I've been meditating more and becoming much more attuned with what's happening in here. What am I thinking? And when I hear or feel a negative thought that comes up, I'm able to recognize that. I'm able to say, oh, interesting. All right, how do we rid myself of that thought? And a lot of times I flip it as quick as I can to its positive alternative, where I think there's no way I'll be able to come up with that money in that amount of time. I flip it to, I have that amount of money. And I'm almost looking back retroactively, and I'm like, oh, wow, it's amazing. I'm very grateful for that. I found that proactive gratitude, being grateful for something as if it already happened, is one of the best ways to kind of build that belief that you're able to do something, that it is not beyond your current capacity. I don't know if you've heard the stories of entrepreneurs such as Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg and the goals that they set for their teams. Or Steve Jobs is a great example. The goals that they set for their teams are so absurd in such small timelines. They try to accomplish what most people would try to take, say, 5 years for in 1 year, or even less time, 6 months. Or they try to accomplish what people would take a year for in a quarter. That's what Stephen Bartlett talked about on one of his Behind the Diary videos recently. This idea of goal setting and believing that I'm going to do this, we are going to do this, and there's nothing stopping us, we are able to, we're almost always able to do that. There's the famous phrase, aim for the moon, and if you fail, you land on the clouds. Maybe it's the stars and the moon. I'm not sure. There are many ways you could think about that. But when you pick this thing that you're going to get great at, you have to say, I believe I can do it. I think a lot of times we are so prone to kind of spreading our eggs across many baskets because deep down we're afraid of going all in on something. We're afraid of both the failure and the success. We don't know what it looks like to fully succeed in something. And when we are less multidimensional, when we are more successful, we are going to lack some of the things that we have right now. And this brings me to my next point. I think one of the reasons, and I've done a lot of introspection on this recently, that we are so afraid to go all in on something is because a lot of us, whether we recognize it consciously or not, do enjoy our lives right now. Personally, I love my life. I know I say that on a lot of podcast episodes, but I love where I'm at in life right now. I'm so grateful for all the people in my life, all my friends, my family, all the trips I get to go on. I'm grateful for the growth that I've had and the things that I'm doing and the moderate success that I may be having. But I know that I'm destined for so much more, especially results wise. And in order to get there, I know that I have to sacrifice some of the things I have right now. Now, I don't believe that things always have to get worse before they get better. I think that's a limiting belief, and that's not true. But things do have to change before they get better. And things can change. That change that you see can be the getting better. But things cannot stay the same. And that is scary. The fact that things do have to change in order to change is a scary thought, because whether we recognize it or not, we are attached to what we have right now. We have some attachment to the things in our lives and the people in our lives and the like just the objects or the routines that you have, right? You are somewhat attached, even if you're not a very outwardly gracious person toward those things, you are attached to them. And it's breaking that attachment and changing these things that is probably the hardest part about becoming great at one thing and going all in on one thing. Honestly, I'm still working on it. And what you just have to do is, again, trust and believe that you will be successful, because that success that you envision is objectively better than the reality that you're in right now. So if you truly believe that that success is there for you, you're just going to have to be able to sustain a period of discomfort, because you're leaving what is comfortable, what is normal, what you are attached to. And that detachment is the discomfort that we're afraid of, that is going to get us to our goals. Remember that delta we talked about earlier between where we are and where we want to be. In between is discomfort and change. Again, it doesn't have to be bad change. Honestly, I like to think about it as we're down here, it's up here, and the change is going to be like that. It's going to be an upward slope, right? Maybe it's not a straight line. Maybe it's going to curve a little bit. Maybe it's going to go up and down and up and down, but it'll get us to this point right here, right? And so you just have to trust. And I cannot say this enough. You have to trust. When you do trust, that you will get to that point. You're going to be able to take a step off the cliff, or like if you're a baby bird and you're comfortable in the nest, you love the nest, your mama is bringing you food in the nest. I mean, I imagine it's pretty nice to be a baby bird in a nest if you're not getting eaten by anything. But at some point, you're going to get kicked out. You're going to fall. You're going to step right off that branch out of that nest. You're going to be falling. That's going to be discomfort, right? It's going to be uncomfortable. It's different. It's not bad. There's no objective bad. It's just how you perceive things. But it will be uncomfortable. It's new. The new is uncomfortable. But at some point, you're going to learn to fly. And that's when you're going to get up here. And then you're going to be able to be that mama for someone else. You're going to be able to get food for yourself. You're independent. You're autonomous. You have a life that you can choose what you do with it, right? And that is better than what was before, but it took something. It took a step right there that you are afraid to take. That baby bird was afraid to take, but it took it. And that is how you upgrade your reality. You get to that point you want to be at. You become great in one thing, and you're unable to take this step, this discomfort, if you're always spread out across all these different things, not truly committing to one because you're afraid of what will happen if you do. So take some time, take a month, take 2 months, and go all in on something. Just go all in. Think about how good that would feel. Think about how good that would feel to know that you went all in on something. And I guarantee you that if you do go all in on something for a month or two, things will change and you'll be motivated to do it more. But if you don't, then you're able to truly write that off with clarity and closure that that wasn't for you. One of my favorite quotes is by J. Cole in his song Heaven's EP, where he said, if he tries his hardest and it doesn't work out, then he knows it wasn't in God's plan for him, right? And that's amazing. If you try your hardest in everything, if you give it your all, if you go all in, right? All your energy, all your thoughts are positive about this thing, all your energy is bringing you toward this thing, you're not going to fail. And if you do, you're able to write it off and say, all right, amazing. I learned from that experience. And I'm able to now bring that to another thing because I know that that wasn't where I was truly meant to be putting my energy, or I am truly meant to be putting my energy into in the future. You're able to truly write it off, and that closure is worth that pain or discomfort that you felt in trying and entering a new place, because you learned a lot and you're able to apply that. These are transferable skills, as we talked about in the beginning. They're transferable into your next thing, because once you take that first leap into discomfort, all the rest will be easier. It gets easier every single time. Trust me, when I went to France as a junior in high school, I said, I'm gonna do this. It's different. It was a very uncomfortable situation. I had to explain to people why I wanted something different, different than what they wanted, because people, they won't be able to understand getting out of the reality that they're in. When you take a step into discomfort and it's a level above what other people around you have done, they'll try to bring you back down, because they don't want to face that reality that they haven't stepped into that discomfort yet, and they haven't grown that extra. All my next steps, like going to London for college, felt easy. Feels like a piece of cake being here, because I took that step previously. Now, if you've enjoyed this episode of the Grateful Podcast, thank you very much for being here. I truly love what I'm doing here, and I have a vision for this that is just so unshakable. I know the amazing impact that I can make and I can continue to make on you guys, if you're listening, if you're watching. And it just keeps driving me forward. I know the power that I have to help people change, to help people improve their lives. And I know the power that this community will have of bringing gratitude to the world, bringing one of the most important values to the world. Now, I really appreciate it for you being here. I would love it if you could subscribe or send this to anybody that you think could use it today. And yeah, I will see you next week for an incredible guest episode. But I love you all. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you. Honestly, I'm just so grateful for life. Life is beautiful. And we'll end this on a beautiful note. But I was listening to Neil deGrasse Tyson talk about how rare, how extraordinary it is that you were born, that you are the one that's living this life. And on top of that, on top of the incredible odds of you being here, of you being born, you're here at this time where we have the technology to access all of this information and go anywhere in the world. You're here at this specific time where you're able to meet the people that you've met in your life, and where you can do the things that you're able to on a daily basis, where food is not scarce for you, I hope, or it's less likely to be scarce for you, where clean water is available, where you can use a toilet. We're in this amazing age, and we are just so lucky to be here. The more that you embrace that luck, that gratitude, the more that you'll receive amazing things in your life. It's just how life works. So I'm so grateful that I'm here right now, that you're here right now, and that we can continue to go on this gratitude journey together. See you next week. Stay grateful.